Hi, and welcome to EV Chat. I'm Kieran Andrews, a software engineer and EV enthusiast. Today, we're going to be chatting about the Cybertruck Offroad and some problems. Does Toyota think that EVs are a fad? And Tesla Y is the best selling in Europe in 2023. So joining me today is Victor, who's a graphic designer and another EV enthusiast, just like I am. We're both obsessed about EVs, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yes, we
Maybe,
are. Yes,
I
we
don't
are.
know. Yeah, enthusiast is probably a better word rather than obsessed,
Yeah,
right?
obsessed. Obsessed is strong. Like I think we're techies. Is that the word, right word?
Techies, yeah,
The right way to
techies,
describe?
yeah.
Yeah. We're interested in technology. We are excited about the new trends in most stuff, and we are Tesla owners. And in my house, we are fully electric vehicle working. Please, nah.
But would you own a Cybertruck?
Well, it depends. Tell me, Kieran, you reckon it can go off road?
I don't know. It was all as advertised as being off road. It was always the off road electric car that everyone needs to have, and it's going to do everything for everyone. Lots of people think that it's a great off roading truck, but they've found that there's been some challenges with it though.
I don't
It's
feel
in their
like
marketing. If you go to I brought up the Cybertruck page, and if I scroll down, we're like, oh, okay, well, this image, it's clearly off road, right? So they're advertising it for off road. It's in the sand. It's driving through
that is pretty
water
off road. All
and
right, yeah,
snow.
no, okay, all right, I stand corrected. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's pretty off road.
Like it's shatter resistant. It can tow lots of stuff, except of course has less range. You have to consider about that. Haul everything you need. Put all the stuff you want in it. Load like it is all about off road. This is the off road. Like it is.
It is. All right. Yes, fair enough. Okay.
Into the wild.
Yeah, look at that. Yes, I know. All right. But you can be whatever you want to be, but if you weight as much as this truck weighs, you're going to end up, regardless of how much horsepower you have, you're going to end up at the bottom of a river. It's just
but the torque, that I think the main thing is the torque is so amazing, and that means that it can do things that other petrol cars aren't able to do. I think that's definitely a benefit, but also having three motors means that it can do some really interesting things. Like in normal cars, they generally have one petrol engine, which has all sorts of different things to send, like you've got a four-wheel drive, etc., that sort of stuff. They don't have two motors, whereas like electric cars can have an individual motors, like the Rivian does, I think, in each individual wheel as well. So yeah, I think like electric vehicles can be off-road. But as we see in this article, the problem is potentially to do with software. So a Cybertruck owner, Ben Levin, had some difficulties during an off-road adventure, damaged his wheel fairings and self-detached the wheel covers. So he was unable to climb a hill that was easily managed by other vehicles like a Toyota 4Runner. And you know my thoughts on Toyotas. And a Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness. Levin, who also operates a Tesla aftermarket services company called Voyage ATX, so an off-roading company, shared his experiences. He still called it an absolute win despite the problems. So a lot of people have been sort of saying, the Cybertruck sucks, but he actually said, it's pretty good, even though it failed. So I don't know, someone that's very positive about it. So it struggled with off-road conditions due to its software limitations and the absence of locking differentials. So that's something that's interesting. Locking differentials really help with off-roading. So what this feature does is it forces the wheels to rotate at the same speed, and Levin identified this as a really big miss. So when you are off-roading, having diff lock can, in certain situations, really help, because otherwise you can have a wheel just spinning, and having them sort of like stuck together is good, but you can also damage your wheels if they're not. So in some cases, you want to be able to unlock it, and that's what the Cybertruck is claimed that it can do. So despite the issues, Levin remains optimistic about the Cybertruck for its off-roading in the future, but there is requirements needed to be made with software. So I think what's happened is the differential, or the locking diff feature, is stuck behind software. So they need to make a software update in order to enable a feature that they advertised is coming with the truck. Um,
Well, I have here the Toyota Hilux SR5, which is Toyota, your favorite, and that one is literally like 2 tons, 1 ton less, like 2 to 3. It is an incredibly heavy vehicle, so like there's only so much you can do if you are stuck in the sand or stuck in a river when your vehicle weighs 3 tons, regardless of the torque or the software or whatever.
yeah, I think it is very heavy, but I don't know. I don't see that as a huge problem. The weight.
You don't?
No, I know that's a thing, but I don't know. When I've gone on forward driving trips, there are people with fully trucked out Toyotas. They've taken off the back. They've put on these crazy attachments and all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
They cost like 200,000 or whatever. They're super expensive and they're like so heavy because they've got all of this extra off-roading equipment and they've like built like a stainless steel like kind of cabin thing on the back. I'm sure they're heavier than a Cybertruck and they do fine.
So you know what's interesting? The Rivian is heavier, and it's supposed to perform really well.
The Rivian is heavier than the Cybertruck.
The Rivian is heavier than the Cybertruck, according just from a quick Google from Wikipedia, by the way. So do your own research.
Yeah.
I guess I'm wrong, as I'm often are, and you're right, as you often are. There you go. Well,
yeah, I did not expect that.
I did not expect that either. It doesn't make sense to me, but there you go. I'm looking at it right now. So maybe you should double check that at some point, but just off Google, that's what it says.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how much the paint that would have to weigh, but I guess it's part of the design.
Okay.
Part of the design is having bulletproof. Like, no, it's not actually bulletproof, but it's bullet resistant. Maybe that's a better way to describe it.
Well,
like if you get a big enough bullet, you can pierce it, but you have to have a pretty big bullet.
Well, then nothing is really bulletproof. By that standard, there's really nothing that is.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, like there was always like things labeled as shatterproof, as like a shatterproof ruler, and we're like, oh, that's a challenge. I want to do that. So I think
shatter this.
That's what I think some people do. Like, oh, okay, I am going to make this bulletproof thing not bulletproof. And I'm sure in America there's some very big guns and gun enthusiast and yeah.
All right.
So I wanted to share another article on this exact same topic though, because some of the reporting in the original one was pretty brief and sort of kind of said, oh yeah, Cybertruck sucks. This one actually talked about the problems in detail. So it talks more about like the fact that the differential locks are there, but the software is not activated, so you can't actually turn on differential locks, which is very important for off-roading.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask a question about off-roading?
Yeah, sure.
Since you are like the true Aussie off-roader guy, so
I wouldn't say that. I've gone off-roading like a couple of times.
That software, is that important? Like just on a regular, going uphill, or is it important when you get stuck? Because they are completely different things.
I think it helps. It helps with particular uneven terrain that you're going up. So when you're getting, probably more when you're getting stuck. So certain types where one of your wheels will lift off the ground and have less traction than the other one.
Yes, that's where I was going. So going up a hill shouldn't be a thing.
I suspect, I'd have to look at the video here, but I suspect the problem is to do with that there was rocks up this hill. Again, I'd have to look at the video and look at the details.
Traction.
But there's some more interesting things about it though. So every time the driver exited the Cybertruck, the off-road mode disengaged, requiring reactivation. So like if you're off-roading, you tend to get out to like maybe put some gator tracks down to like get out of a sticky situation or some sand. Like that is really annoying to have to like re-engage it, and not something I'd expect from Tesla. Also, because it's long wheelbase and weight. There we go. Okay, so this one's actually talking about weight and maybe agreeing with you. They can be seen as disadvantages. It also has more ground clearance than some competitors, but a surprisingly small turning circle due to its rear-wheel steering.
Have that bloody problem. But
this one has rear-wheel steering though, which actually makes the turning circle better. So maybe that's a benefit. But also, the article suggests that Elon Musk probably faced pressure to launch the Cybertruck due to previous delays and ridicule, leading to premature launch with some features not fully realized. So, oh yeah, we'll just fix it in post. We'll come out with a new software version later.
We'll patch it. We'll patch it later.
Yeah.
Yes. I think regardless of what we think, that is most certainly the case at a certain degree, for sure. Absolutely. Um, but
I think though it gives ammo to the people that want to just hate on it and say, oh, it's not going to work, it's not successful, and that.
I don't need to hate on it to agree that it's a stupid vehicle. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it is a stupid vehicle. I don't think it has a purpose.
So not the purpose being off-road or the purpose being like a work vehicle to replace like the Ford F-150 in America.
Every single thing it tries, because it tries to beat way too many things at once. I don't think.
Interesting.
I don't think it attacks a niche the way that, like, why is it bulletproof? Why is it stainless steel? And I know that you're gonna tell me, oh well, this and this and this and that, but there's way better materials. Like I really don't get the Cybertruck. Stainless steel is heavy and stainless steel is expensive, and it is unnecessary in this kind of vehicle.
Yeah, but isn't there like steel underneath a car anyway? Like, is the stainless steel in the Cybertruck that much more heavier than normal?
Well, the claim
steel
is that
in a
it's
car?
incredibly thick. That's what it's bulletproof, and it's been like carbon treated for durability and this and this and this and all the things.
It's also huge too.
It is absolutely massive. But the other thing that I would say about it is, going back to the purpose stuff, is it's unnecessary in most things. Like, it's not only that it has purpose, but it's unnecessarily big. It's unnecessarily expensive. It's unnecessarily like, it seems like a show of peace.
That is an American car culture. It's all about massive trucks and huge cars and showing off how amazing you have this off-road vehicle that you never take off-road and never get dirty. So.
Look. Half of my family is American. I have lots of family in California. I get the culture. Like, I've seen the trucks over there, and I get that. I really do. But still, that kind of people that buy those kinds of trucks, I don't know if you see the bell curve. I don't know how many of those are buying electric cars.
I don't know, but I think that's maybe why the Cybertruck exists, is to try to actually attract those sorts of people to buy an electric car, to go, okay, this is totally different. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if it attracts those buyers. It'd be interesting to see what sort of person buys a Cybertruck. The fact that there's so many reservations and like such a backlog of orders, but it shows
it's a
that
really
it's a
cool vehicle, and you know who buy them? People that want to be cool. Like, that is the reality of it, like, oh, I want to have a Cybertruck, and I'm going to be the first Cybertruck in my neighborhood, and I'm going to look awesome, and all the chicks are going to dig me. Yeah. That's the people that are buying Cybertrucks. That's the kind of person. Yeah. I mean, but that being said, whatever it is that it wants to do, it should do it right, and I don't know how right is doing it. You tell me. Do you think it's doing it right? Whatever it is. Like, pick one. Like, towing or off-roading or range or speed or aerodynamics or anything. And I'm not hating on it. I don't want to hate on it just because I'm a hater. I have 2 Teslas. I do believe that Teslas are smart vehicles. I do believe that the Cybertruck is a stupid vehicle. I'm sorry. That's a hot take. I get it. But that is my personal opinion about it.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't get one. I think I would love to see one, and it's sort of an interest of like, from afar going, I like that they're so different and so unusual, and there's really like statement piece. But then going like, from a practical level, I want a car that gets me from A to B and that does that well. And for me, that's the Model Y, or some of the other ones. So
I'll tell you.
But I wouldn't get a Cybertruck.
Just as reference, I am incredibly practical. Like, everything has to be fit for purpose and have a purpose for me to buy it. And that's why I personally bought a Model 3 and I didn't buy a Model Y, for example. So for me, this is like it just goes against my grain. I'm not trying to impose an opinion in someone, but as a practical person, and as just I don't.
What I would love to do is I'd love to go to a four-wheel drive meet, bring along a Cybertruck, and if it actually had all this stuff and was able to perform well, show off and go, oh wow, like look, this is an electric car. You're all petrol heads and are stuck in the past. This electric car can do all this stuff, but I can't do that yet because it's not able to do it. So that would be the only reason. Hire one for a weekend, take it to a four-wheel drive club, go and do some stuff. And if it is actually good at four-wheel driving,
I would like to see it first. And it has happened to me often that I have a strong opinion about something and then I see it and it just clicks. And I am a better man. I would say, oh, I was wrong. But right now, it I do not find a place for it. I think that's the main that's the way that I would describe it, in my personal opinion. That's just how it is for me.
definitely. But what do you think about Toyota's opinions, especially on EVs?
You're getting so good at segues, Kieran. You're getting so good at them. All right.
So I saw this today and I laughed. Toyota thinks that EVs will never pass 30% globally. So there would never be more than 30% of cars on the road that are going to be EVs. And another person at the same time says plug-in hybrids have already reached 40% in China. So we've got real well evidence there. I guess the two things for me, I'm like, is this the Kodak moment of Toyota? So Akio Toyota still believes the internal combustion engine vehicles will continue to make up a significant share of new vehicles well into the future. I completely disagree. I have a quote from another article. So I actually have a cool article here about Kodak. Maybe this is relevant to this. In this article, there's also a great quote, which is Kodak's executives couldn't foresee a future in which film had no role in image capture at all, nor come to grips with the lower profit margins or faster competitive pace of high-tech industries.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
But
what do you think of that?
They're doing so well.
Yeah, Kodak. Yeah, there it is. Did you see their share price recently?
Kodak? No, I'm sorry. I don't.
Oh, no, it was like $2 or something.
Oh, okay. Well,
so yeah.
How do we break this one down?
I can do a summary as well of the article just to jump through a bit for more of the numbers. So, Akio Toyota asserts that BEVs will achieve 30% market share globally, maximum, with the remaining composed of hybrids and fuel cell electric vehicles and hydrogen engines and traditional internal combustion engines. So it's going to be all these other things that I think are not actually going to be there. It's going to be mostly EVs. His statement contrasts sharply with recent data from China, where new energy vehicles sales in November reached a 40% market share. So they already have 40% market share in China, which is hybrids and battery electrics. In China, in November 23, 2 million passenger cars were sold. 841,000 were NEVs, or new energy vehicles. 552,000 of those were battery electric vehicles, 26.5%. So that's already very close to 30%. And like, I think that's only going to grow. 289,000 was plug-in electric vehicles. His perspective appears disconnected from the current reality, where battery electric vehicles alone nearly constitute 30% of the market in China. So yeah, that's what again, it's just so silly.
So, hold on. Can I interrupt you there for a second? When he's talking about internal combustion, he's also talking about hydrogen, the thing. Like, because hydrogen is
how many hydrogen cars can you buy in Australia right now?
I think zero. Well, there is.
And how many electric vehicles can you buy? Like probably
20.
More than 20. Maybe in the 50s potentially if you include every single model or variant.
Yeah, variant. Now here's a question for you, because the main problem with Toyota was the patent. They didn't want to share these hydrogen fuel cells, whatever they want to call it. For a very long time, so people didn't want to make them, and there were no other cars. There was a whole thing about it, but I haven't followed it in almost 13 years or 12 years since they starting doing? Have they done anything about it, or are we still in the same place with two of them in California, and has it grown in any way, shape, or form?
I don't think so. There's been lots of investment in it, and there's been lots of talk, and it's always been a thing. But it's mostly a delaying tactic. It's Toyota talking about this new thing of like, oh, we're going to do this new hydrogen. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be the best. Wait until we bring out this hydrogen vehicle. You're going to love it. But hold on to your petrol car, or buy another petrol car in the meantime from us because you love us as a brand. And burn lots of fossil fuels. And then one day, maybe you'll buy it from us. And so to me, it's just a real delaying tactic. It's not that either they're completely delusional or they have like Kodak was, and they just really don't know what's happening in the real world. They're not looking at figures from China.
What about
they're doing it intentionally to try to deceive the public.
What
it's
about
probably more likely going to be that they just don't know what's going on.
Or you forgot one. That is an interesting one. It's probably the most interesting one of them all. What about if they are right? What about if they actually have this amazing technology that for whatever reason they haven't been able to market? What would happen then? No, well, I know
Like
that you
what,
need to
hydrogen?
Well, yes.
But if you look at the physics of hydrogen, creating hydrogen from renewable energy is so less efficient than putting renewable energy directly into a battery electric vehicle. Because you have to spend huge amounts of electricity
right now
to split atoms to make hydrogen, and then you use the energy of them putting back together to make the car go. And it's a lot of them are just using an actual electric vehicle, like it's a fuel cell which is creating electricity, which is using electric motor anyway. I think there are hydrogen, like more hydrogen technologies that don't do that, but I don't think they're out there.
About it, and I'll admit that. But they are so bold, so bold. You have to think, you have to believe that they know something we don't, right?
My prediction is they're going to go out of business. They're going to be like, they're just going to not exist in, I don't know, 10 years.
Really good cars, though. Like, I know they are not EVs, but whatever, you have one.
Yeah, why did you buy your Toyota? It's a very good car. It's a very reliable car. It's great. It's still going after 10 plus years. Yeah, it drives well. It didn't cost that much. Like they have made great petrol cars.
The times are changing. Considered by many one of the best cars ever made. Like it has that kind of iPhone moment of before and after. Like there's people that have had Hiluxes for 35 years or 28 years or however they've been in the market. They love those things, and apparently they are almost like they remind me of remember the Nokia, the old Nokia, the brick one that they said that it was indestructible. It just keep going. That's how the Hilux is regarded. I'm
glad you brought up Nokia though. How's Nokia doing today?
How's Nokia doing today? All right.
So you talked about the iPhone moment and the iPhone coming out, and that pretty much killed the Nokia. And they brought superior software expertise. Tesla does that. They brought a device that people really wanted but was being held back. And devices weren't able to do the things that people wanted to do. Like people wanted to be able to easily view email on their phone, and they could do it on a BlackBerry, but people didn't, unless they were business people, they didn't want a BlackBerry.
This is not a podcast about that, but I will fight you in a hill about how the only reason why iPhone came on top was marketing. That was the only reason. When the iPhone came out, it did way less than most of the...
Is Tesla doing better marketing then?
Oh, Tesla does amazing marketing. Lots of people believe.
But they don't do advertising on TV though.
Whichever way you want to do it, somehow they do it. But to this day, there's a lot of people that believe that Tesla it's equivalent to EV. Lots of people do believe that, like right now. If you go to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get one of those Teslas, and it's like saying Nintendo or like saying Kleenex, that they just mean an EV, but they just call it a Tesla. So whatever they did it very, very well, and so did the Apple. Absolutely, They did really, 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 really well because the product, besides industrial design, was inferior in every single way, shape, and form in those first generations. It didn't have Bluetooth, it couldn't take video, it had a really small memory. It was not a good product, and somehow people believed that it was the best thing. So there you go.
But yeah, I guess we've got to look at the next article, which is that, yeah, Tesla Model Y has become the Europe's first ever electric best-selling car. Best-selling car, and it's electric.
I'm disappointed that there was no segue, by the way. But let's keep going.
Well, I don't know. It was sort of a segue, but definitely not as good as the last one.
Yes.
But yeah, it's become, Tesla Model Y has become Europe's best-selling car in 2023, marking the first time an EV has achieved this status, with over 245,000 registrations. So this has come after Tesla slashed prices in Europe by £9,000. That's a lot. So they've been making a lot of price cuts everywhere, but that's resulted in lots more sales, which, yeah, kind of makes sense. It's outperformed the, how do I say this? Dacia Sandero.
Dacia Sandero, yes.
By 20,000 vehicles, which secured the top spot in European cars. What do you know that car, the Dacia?
It was made very, very, very famous by the Top Gear guys because one of them absolutely loved the Dacia Sandero. They would always go on about it. That being said, I think it's just merely a European car. Like being from in Mexico, in North America, or here in Australia, where I've lived, I've never seen it. Never seen one, ever. You've been to Europe.
Yeah. Okay, so this is it here. Boring looking car, but I'm guessing
it looks like a BYD. If you tell me, if you change the badge and you tell me that's a BYD, I would say like, yeah, that's a BYD. Or an MG4 is like, yeah, that's an MG4.
Yeah, it's just a car. So it must be a very it's kind of like, is it like the Corolla for Europe?
Yeah, I know. It's a generic car. You buy it by the pound. You go, you say, can I have 1,500 pounds of car, please? That's
so
what you get.
That was the top selling car before Tesla Model Y beat it, which, yeah, probably costs a lot more. So some of the other models as well, there's the VW T-Roc, the Renault Clio, Renault, I think is how you say it, Renault Clio, and other models surpassed the Peugeot 208. See, I should know these names better, and I should get better at pronouncing them. They had a decline in sales compared to 2022. There's also the Opel Corsa, the Toyota Yaris Cross showed significant sales increases over the previous year. So Toyota's still increasing their sales in Europe.
There you go.
And the popularity of new cars in UK differed from the rest of Europe. So in UK, the Tesla Model Y and Opel Vauxhall Corsa were both in the UK and Europe's top 10 sellers. Surprisingly, the Ford Puma was UK's best-selling car in 2023, but then ranked 13 in Europe. So, yeah, differences. It seems like UK is a little bit of a different market. Yeah.
I am surprised by a couple of those names, to be honest. Like, I would have never expected a Renault Clio to be in the top-selling ones. But there you go.
Yeah, there's the Dacia, the T-Roc, the Renault, the Peugeot. Then you got the Corsa, the Golf. The Golf, yeah, I think that's because it's a smaller car and it's VW as well.
It's a completely different culture as well, I guess. There's the very, very narrow streets, and maybe they just go for smaller cars, and that's why the Clio and the Golf and stuff like that.
I do quite like the Skoda Octavia too. That's a nice one.
But that being said, the Tesla would be more expensive than more than half of those ones.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the fact that it's the top selling compared to a car that's probably a lot cheaper. Yeah. So the Dacia is very cheap. It is about 9,000 euros. Model Y is like 45,000 euros. So you can get 4.5 Dacias or one Model Y, and Model Y is still the best selling car. That's crazy. It's now manufactured in Europe. They have a factory over there too. We've got some pictures of some of the other runner-ups as well.
So, is BYD has a strong position in Europe or not yet?
No, that is interesting. I don't actually have an article prepared for that one, but BYD do not have a huge amount of following in, like, not a lot of sales in Europe. But Europe is now imposing some sort of trade restrictions on Chinese cars because they've seen that China is doing unfair subsidies for Chinese cars, and they're scared of a company like BYD coming in and selling lots of cars and disrupting their own market, like Mercedes, like BMW, etc., that are trying to get into EVs. And then if Chinese cheaper EVs come in and kind of compete on them, they're worried.
They should be, absolutely.
Mm.
Well, very, 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 very interesting. So, well, after looking at this, what do you think about Toyota saying that 30% is the maximum? And can we also point out the fact that most car companies have said that they're going to go full electric by 2025 and 2030?
Yep.
So, 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 so that's like 6 years away.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no cars, and some big ones, Ford,
2025 is next year, right?
2025 was Mini, I believe. It was like a
Oh, 2030. So you were saying 2030 that most of them
2030
have
was
promised
Ford, I believe.
Yeah. So they're going to be full electric in 2030, but they're still going to be selling petrol cars, even though they promised that. I think it'll be sooner too. Anyway, there'll be pressure. Things will get quicker and quicker.
Do you reckon they'll still be selling petrol cars even when they've said they're going to go full electric?
Well, that's Toyota thinks so.
Okay.
But in reality, I think no. I don't think so. I think that maybe there will be some companies selling petrol cars. Of course, they will for a while. People are going to still want them. I think there's probably going to be a niche market for more like, I don't know, maybe luxury petrol cars, or like eventually they'll become something that is a hobbyist you might want to do, but there'll be lots of restrictions on how often you can use them, or you may need to offset their carbon or whatever. But I think it'll be similar to horses. Like, you can buy a horse now, but people don't use horses for transport. People use horses for recreation. And so I think that's what is going to happen to petrol cars.
No, a quick note about the Ford. Yes, they will be completely electric by 2030, but that includes plug-in hybrids.
Yeah.
Which I said it in a previous podcast, but I do believe that marks the end of that technology, as we saw it with the DVD and VHS. You knew they were going out of style when you could buy the VHS with the DVD together.
Exactly.
Because people were getting scared that they wouldn't be able to play their old tapes. So instead of buying only a DVD, they're like, oh, well, here's both of them, so you can still play your old VHSs, because people were getting scared of losing the technology. So I believe that that's probably why they are doing it these days. And we're going to see more and more of those ones.
Yeah, I think some people are just uncertain, and they want that like familiarity or something, or they're getting sold those hybrids. But yeah, eventually people are going to realize and go, oh, okay, well, I could get this thing that's got two engines in it, like a petrol and an electric motor, or I could just get something with an electric motor. There's there on the road. They're going to be cheaper. So
and the infrastructure will be there in 5 to 10 years. It's going to be so prominent that petrol is going to be like,
definitely. All the people right now that are going, oh, there's not enough charges, there's like not enough range, all those kinds of problems.
Just charge it. Well, I guess if you live like in an apartment or something like that, it could be an issue.
But when all that stuff's gone away, like I'm sure they'll find still things to complain about or things to bring up that means it's not going to happen. But I think that for most of the general public are going to start realizing, oh, okay, those aren't an issue anymore. Like everybody in my street has an electric car. Oh, okay, I should probably get one now. Or they're cheap. They're cheaper than petrol cars. Like, yeah.
I remember something like this, similar like this, happening with my family in America when fuel injection came around and carburetors started going out of style. You're probably way too young for this, but I was born in the 70s. So I was a little kid when this started happening more and more and more and more. And in almost every way, shape, and form, carburetors are not the best technology. Fuel injection is, but people like there was all of this stuff going around that the fuel injection would actually clog up if you know if the petrol was not well filtered, or blah 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 blah, or if you had like any deposits on your tank, and there was all of these things. But if you were living in a cold place, which should sound a little bit familiar, starting a car with a carburetor was a massive pain in the behind.
Yeah, well, is that you also needed a choke, right? So you needed to like.
Oh yeah. But look, my family's from Texas. Trust me, at 6 in the morning, everything was frozen. And if you had a car with a carburetor, you had to go like, and then you had to leave it there sitting in the cold for good 15 to 20 minutes so it would warm up, or you couldn't use the bloody thing. So,
Wow.
and yet still people complained a lot with fuel injection come around. For me, it's exactly the same. It's not, maybe it's a change of fuel, but the car is still a car. It still has a steering wheel, and it's not. Most of the things that are getting changed are for the better. I'm not even talking about the environment. I'm talking just general usability. Like, I cannot fathom someone that still wants to go and spend X amount of time lining up in a petrol station. They can just go home and plug. Like,
yeah, just that one thing. If you take that one thing, the convenience factor is just so much higher.
Anyway, that's probably for another video.
Well, yeah. It was great chatting with you. I had a great time tonight. Some good articles. I got to complain about Tesla. I got to complain about Toyota again, like I love. We didn't talk about battery chemistry, so sorry about that. But maybe next time.
That's all right. But I got to to give a couple of hot takes about the Cybertruck and how. Look, I don't know. I'm coming. I don't want to be that guy that says, "Oh, it's crap. Nobody buys it." I just don't understand it, and I know that I may be in the wrong here, but I don't understand. It's not that
but there's a lot. I think it's like a love-hate thing. There's a lot of people that don't understand it, and they don't know why people buy it, and then there's a bunch of people that just go out and buy it, and I don't know. They're very different people. So yeah.
I guess. So my take on it is, as negative as I sounded, my take on it is I don't get it. I really don't. That doesn't mean that is wrong or that is bad or that is good. It's just that personally, me, in my mid-40s, I cannot understand that car. I really can't.
Not even a midlife crisis car. You probably want the Roadster, right?
Oh, you know which one is one of my dream cars, which is a terrible car, by the way. It's one of the worst cars ever made. The Smart Roadster. I love that thing. So cool.
Smart Roadster? So like the smart car, which is like a tiny box car.
It is a tiny box, but it's a Roadster.
And then they have a Roadster version.
They have a Roadster. It's 2 seats, and you could even like remove panels and change them colors and interchange them. It was such a fun car. Such a good looking car. Look at that.
Really? All right, we'll show it for everyone here. Is that the one you wanted?
I love that car. It's a stupid car.
Looks ugly. The red one looks better though, but still.
How very dare you, sir? To say such things.
It goes faster. The red
one. It looks ugly.
Which one? Which is your favorite one?
I love. There's a blue one with red, but you can
blue
change
one with red.
Like I said, you can change the panel colors. You can.
Oh, there we go. Orange one.
Oh, look at that. So anyway, it's a terrible car. Don't buy it. It's a really, really bad car. I won't defend it. But I do like it. I really do like how it looks.
Yeah.
It's like driving a bug, like driving a ladybug. Just going. Awesome. Anyway, Kieran.
Yeah. Thanks. It was great to chat to you. Hear from the comments. Are you going to buy? Are you one of the people out there that's going to buy a Cybertruck? Do you want one? Have you got a reservation? Do you think Toyota is right? Like, do you think we're only going to get 30%? I'm keen to hear from you as well. And yeah, Model Y, like, is it going to keep going, or are people going to get bored of Model Y? So yeah, let us know in the comments. Please subscribe. It really helps us. Like the comment, and all of that great stuff. So thanks for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate it. See you next time.
See you next time, and thank you for joining us for a chat. It was good.
Yeah, thank you.